High thoughts about God lead to high worship of God and lead to high and holy living. And low thoughts about God lead inevitably to low worship and low and base living. As your knowledge of God goes, so goes your entire life. Therefore, it is critical that we understand who God is. It is critical that we know what God is like. Not only is God with me closely, God made me uniquely. Here's the doctrine of the omnipotence of God. That God possesses all power to do all things, and God can create out of nothing. Notice beginning in verse 13, all that God has made. First, He's made my inward parts. For you formed my inward parts. And it represents all of our vital organs on the inside. Our heart, our liver, our lungs, and perhaps symbolically of our inner emotional life, our temperament, our personality. God, you formed everything on the inside that I am. He says, you wove me in my mother's womb. Like a beautiful tapestry, you knit me together carefully and skillfully and beautifully. You have wired me the way that I am. With my unique personality, with my unique sense of humor, with my unique temperament, with my unique inner organs, everything on the inside of me, God has crafted like a skilled master craftsman. He says, I will give thanks to you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, and my soul knows it very well. In verse 15, he says, not only have you made my organs, my inside, even my temperament, but you've made my bones. In verse 15, my frame was not hidden from you when I was made in secret, meaning God has made my frame. When he says in secret, he is referring, that's a euphemistic expression for my mother's womb. It's a very private place. It's very secret. No one else can see in there. But God was in there, and God was at work creating my frame. God was building our entire size and our stature and our height and all that we would grow to be. God was putting it into us. Your eyes have seen my unformed substance. And the idea here perhaps is our genetic makeup, our DNA, our unformed substance. God was the one who was making it and putting it within us. And then on top of that, he says that God made all of the days in which we would live in this body in which he has made for us. And he said, in your book were all written the days that were ordained for me, when as yet there was not one of them. This is mind-boggling. Not only did he make my entire physical body and my entire temperament and personality and DNA and everything, the entire skeleton framework, but God then also made every day in which I would live in this body. And he has a book. It is the book of his eternal decree, and he has written in this book every single day that I will live for the rest of my life. And it's not just the number of these days, it's everything that will occur in each and every one of these days. When I would be born, when I would die, how many days there would be in between, and where I would go and what I would do. It was all pre-scripted by God. And it's all in God's book. And no human has ever looked into this book. It's a closed book, known only to God. And I don't know how many days he wrote down in that book for you, but it's the perfect number of days. And you won't live one day longer or one day shorter than the number that he has preordained for you to live. God is so good, and he is so wise, that he knows
exactly how many days you need to be here to do what He has foreordained for you to do.
The number of days that I have to live is different from the number of days that you have to live. Just like my body is different than your body, just like my genetic makeup is different than your genetic makeup. So the number of days that you have to live, and when you would be born, and when you would die, and where you would live, and where you would go, and what you would do, is different than what God has ordained for me.
The devil is not in the details. God is in the details.
It causes the heart and the soul to rise to the heights of heaven, and to rise and to bless the name of this great God. So he says in verse 17, he has to stop. He doesn't even wait till the end of the psalm. He has to sprinkle this throughout the psalm. How precious are all your thoughts to me, O God. God, you are the master architect. You are the master designer. You have ordained my body and my makeup, and you have ordained the number of my days. This is precious. This is priceless. If I should count them, all of God's thoughts towards me and all of my thoughts towards God, they would outnumber the sand. There's not enough grains on the beaches of this world to equate to God's precise, intimate, detailed thoughts toward me. Search me, O God, and know my heart so we can get this out in the open. Explore me, probe me, dig down deep within me, so it will all be mined out of the shafts of my heart and brought out into clear daylight, so that I can see those blind spots in my life, so I can see what is hidden from my own sight. He says in verse 23, try me and know my anxious thoughts. That means put to the test, examine the quality of my own heart, and know my anxious thoughts,
so that I can deal with things in my own heart. Would you be so bold as to pray this to God today? And see, verse 24, if there be any hurtful way in me. Because all sin is hurtful to God, all sin is hurtful to me, and all sin is hurtful to others. And lead me in the everlasting way. May you find great comfort this day that this God is with you, and He is for you, and He will bless you. And if you do not know this God, there is only one way to know this God. Not 2, 3, or 10, one. And that is to come to His Son, the Lord Jesus Christ,